Well, good afternoon. My name is Jim Rutt from the Dana Foundation. I'm here with Andy Lauda from Adobe. This is the third in a series of podcasts for CVision and Adobe, or the fourth, I'm sorry. The title of this one is Extract the Power and Intelligence of PDFs with Next Generation LLMs. So just to give a brief overview of some of the items that we're going to be talking about today, with organizations running at the speed of digital technology, and innovation leaders are tasked with outpacing the competition and defining new ways of working, all while balancing an evolving technology landscape. CIOs and their teams are exploring new, advanced ways of delivering business intelligence and organizational productivity through emerging tools like generative AI, LLMs, and applied machine learning. So I think we've got one of the product leaders here at Adobe that can really shed some great insight into this. So Andy, would you go ahead and give a brief overview of your background?
Yeah. Hi, Jim. Thanks for letting me participate in the podcast today. My name is Andy Lauda, and I am the Director of Product Management for the Acrobat Services APIs, which includes an API that we're going to talk about a lot today, which is called the PDF Extract API. So anyways, thanks again.
Wonderful to have you today. Let's get right into it. So the first question I have for you is, understanding in recent news that Adobe and NVIDIA, no stranger to the Gen AI space, have announced a partnership to harness the intelligence of content and PDF documents within LLMs. So can you shed a little light on this partnership and what makes it unique? I mean, there's been a lot of announcements, I'm sure, with NVIDIA in general, but I'd love to hear it specific to Adobe.
Yeah, we did announce a partnership earlier this year in March. The general idea was to collaborate in order to harness the intelligence that lives within PDF documents in these next generation LLMs, or large language models. The bottom line is there's something like 3 trillion PDF documents out there in the world. And what makes a lot of these documents really interesting, particularly in the case of Gen AI use cases, is that PDFs tend to contain really high value content that can drive critical decisions in businesses and organizations to, increase insights, to help manage risk, ensure compliance, things like that. And so the partnership with NVIDIA was really designed to allow us to collaborate more closely with them to make it easier to ingest this content, this high quality content that lives in PDFs, into LLMs, so that the LLMs can be used to automate what today are some very manual processes. And so we hope that the net result is things like faster throughput, lower costs, reduced human error, and more importantly, really better decisions for businesses and organizations.
All in line with the promise of AI in general, generative AI. So it's wonderful to hear that Adobe's really taking a serious adoption for this. So can you let's unpack this a little bit. Can you provide some examples of customer use cases which these technologies might be used a little more specifically?
Yep, sure thing. So one example is just a lot of information lives in detailed reports and just being able to evaluate these reports in a more automated and streamlined way to enable better business decisions. A lot of companies are creating chatbots to help users find specific information and get answers to questions that are buried within complex PDF documents. I recently was on a panel with a gentleman who works at a large insurance company, and the example that we talked about was, if a consumer is trying to go through a detailed health insurance coverage plan, which lives in a PDF, to find out, am I covered for this specific procedure? Being able to ask a question like that of a chatbot, as opposed to like having to page through, a 100-page document, much more efficient. And then automating different processes. We work with some partners that built a solution for pharma companies to do what's called marketing legal review of pharmaceutical marketing documents to help comply with regulations, which previously was a very manual process, now can be automated leveraging Gen AI technology. I know of like big auditing firms that are streamlining auditing processes, which tended to be very manual previously, now can be, accelerated using Gen AI. Revenue recognition. We internally at Adobe use Gen AI to facilitate our revenue recognition process. Really, the bottom line is any process that requires a somewhat qualitative analysis of these longer form documents that's done manually today. All of these processes can be automated leveraging Gen AI technology.
That's super. I think that's definitely another one of the promises, right? I mean, it's saving us a tremendous amount of time reading our own agreements at Dana.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these things are very repetitive, and except for very small nuances within them. So I think the tool has really been tremendous for us. So that's been great. Um,
Yep.
so the next question I would have is how exactly does Adobe make it easier to ingest PDF content into LLMs? What's the differentiation here?
Yeah, and so a good place to start to answer that question is to understand how LLMs are trained today. Basically, the way LLMs add value is by ingesting a whole ton of content from the internet, and basically as kind of like a knowledge base that they use to answer questions. And the classic way that LLMs are trained today is on web data or HTML pages. They scrape HTML pages and ingest that content into the LLM. Now the LLM has kind of that knowledge base to answer questions on. And when you scrape, just so you know, when you scrape, to get to a little bit into the nuance and details, when you scrape HTML pages, it gives you both the data and the structure of the web pages. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that means, because the data is important, of course, the actual content, the text, the graphics, the charts, everything else. But the structure also matters, especially in terms of how the LLM is going to interpret the data. The structure helps the LLM find the data the most relevant data to answer a specific question more quickly, and interpret it better. And also, it allows you to attribute the answers that the LLM is delivering back to the original document in cases where people need to verify that the answers are correct. So now let's shift gears and start to look at what it means to ingest PDF content as opposed to web pages, because PDF documents are a little bit of a different animal than HTML. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the highest value content that people want to build these type of solutions on lives within PDF documents. So like I said, things like insurance policy, tax codes, financial reports. So really unlocking the content from within these documents can enable some really high value solutions. But classically, people have used what's called OCR, optical character recognition technology, or similar technologies to quote unquote scrape or extract the information from those PDF documents. And that's the way it's been done for years. But the problem is that where OCR provides the text, it doesn't provide the structure of the document like you get from scraping HTML pages. And so in order to enable high value results from those Gen AI solutions, you need both the data and the structure. Now, Adobe has a web service called our PDF Extract API, which is an API that allows our customers and developers to build solutions that extract not just the content, but also the structure from PDF documents to enable the higher quality results from LLMs. And what I'm talking about here is everything from training an LLM, like ingesting content from scratch. A lot of times what you want to do is take a general purpose LLM like an OpenAI or something like that and ingest additional content in a specific subject matter area to be used in certain use cases. There's a lot of use cases which are called inference, which is basically being able to analyze either a single or multiple documents to deliver answers and search for information. And that could be like a single document within Acrobat, like our AI assistant, in which, by the way, we use our PDF Extract API to enable that workflow. But also there's a technology called RAG, or augmented generation, which is basically the ability to have a data store of source documents that are easily accessible to LLMs to answer questions against that corpus of content. And finally, a big part of this, like I mentioned, is attribution. When you get an answer from an LLM, oftentimes you want to verify that that answer is correct, and you want to go back to the source of that answer and attribute that answer to the specific, say, paragraph within a specific document. And so all of these aspects of enabling LLMs to do their jobs are the structure obviously is really important to enable those things.
Yeah, it's interesting you know the difference between typical scraping, like with OCR, right? Typically, you just get the text, like you said, the text without the context of where that data is structured. But make a
Exactly.
great line to lead into some of these other areas. The other thing I noted is you are taking you're putting a lot of effort using retrieval augmented generation. That's a term that I've been hearing quite a bit around LLMs in terms of another form of data ingestion. It's encouraging to hear this because, as a standard ingestion method, I think it's going to be tremendously helpful for most organizations that are not only adopting Adobe's solutions, but also it's a good guidance point in terms of building their own LLMs. So this is great.
Absolutely. Yeah, ingesting content directly into LLMs can be very expensive and time consuming. And a lot of times, especially within large businesses that have these huge corpus of PDF documents where all of their kind of business intelligence lives, the RAG approach is a much more efficient and higher quality in the end approach to building these Gen AI solutions.
Yeah, well said. Absolutely. Let's go to the next question. So how does this solution enable higher quality results in what we've seen? It sounds like there's more of there's a wider scope of the way it can help, but kind of drill down into it by use case and see how it can be it can give better results. I think more accurate quality results.
Yeah.
Qualitatively.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a number of different ways that understanding the structure enables LLMs to deliver higher quality results. One is in ingesting content in general, you can only ingest content into what in the Gen AI space they call chunks. And so chunking up the content that you're ingesting is really important. And it turns out that in most cases, chunking is done in a very random way. In other words, chunking is more about the size of the chunk than it is the structure of the content that you're chunking. But when you have an understanding of the structure of a document, you can actually do chunking in a much more intelligent way. In other words, I can have sections that are chunks as opposed to just random chunks in a long PDF document. And why that matters is because, for example, when you ask Gen AI to summarize a document, what it's going to do is summarize each chunk of that document and then summarize the summaries, right? And if those chunks are random, you can get some really strange artifacts from the Gen AI, intelligence. Whereas if those chunks are by section, it's much, you end up with much higher quality summaries. And the way I like to think about this is, to a certain degree, LLMs are trying to replicate human intelligence, right? And you just think about the way a human would consume content in a long document. Obviously, understanding the structure of the document allows you to, understand the bigger context, go to the places of the document that you care about most, and focus there. And so, for that reason alone, the LLMs use similar algorithms to go find the information they're looking for to be able to answer the question. And so, not only does it accelerate that process, understanding the structure, but it also makes it easier to find the right data, and it results in higher quality output from the LLM. And then, like I said, I just want to reinforce again the importance of attribution, the ability to reference the answers that the LLM is giving back to the specific portion of the document that it's using, allows the user to double check to make sure that the responses are correct. And the reason that's important is in a lot of these use cases, it's not okay to have the answers be 90% or 95% correct. They need to be, especially like in risk and compliance use cases, it needs to be 100% correct. So a lot of times they have a human reviewing the Gen AI results in order to ensure that they're getting 100% accuracy. And even though you still have a human involved, you still dramatically reduce, the cost and time it takes to run these solutions.
Yeah, I think short term, just to guard against any of these random hallucination type events with these LLMs, a human will definitely need to be in the loop, and it's certainly helpful, to be able to reference these attribution points, as you say. Think of
Yep.
them really as very strongly structured metadata to make it easy to validate these results. Because I think for now, at least, I think as generations go by, it'll get a lot easier to verify and hopefully some kind of guided or automated way. So that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh, so there are other alternatives in as there's many different solutions that could be, I would say, peripheral to what Adobe's doing here with the extract solution. What makes Adobe's approach superior, better, more accurate?
Yeah, like you said, there's lots of tools out there. There's lots of open source tools to do OCR or extract data from PDF documents. And more recently, there are some tools that leverage AI to provide some understanding of the structure of PDF documents. But by far and away, Extract provides the most detailed understanding of the structure of the PDF documents. First of all, the first thing Extract does is a visual analysis of the document to identify all the individual elements of a document, and then we extract those elements as objects. So I'll give you an example, like paragraphs. We extract paragraphs in their entirety, whether the paragraph spills over onto multiple pages or whether the paragraph, spills over into multiple columns in a multi-column document. We identify that paragraph as a single paragraph and extract it and tag it as such in the output from extract. But we also get things like the titles of the documents, the sections and headings of those sections. So you get a full detailed understanding of the table of contents. Lists, tables. We provide full CSV files in interpreting the tables that are included in PDF documents. Images are identified as images. We understand the reading order. So, the natural human reading order of the document is also delivered through the output of our extract service. And things like bounding boxes of the content at every level. So like every paragraph that gets extracted from a document, we understand exactly where, which page that content comes from and exactly where on the page that content comes from, which gets, obviously, like I said, is really important to enable these attribution use cases.
Yeah, what as a customer, right? I mean, everything you've described, definitely it's something I've run into as an end user. What would I experience based on using this in an LLM use case? Is it visually similar to what I've seen in some of the other Adobe tools? I mean, talk to me about what's unique about it.
Yeah. So first of all, our solution, it's a cloud-based web service that's exposed via an API. So the people that directly use this service are developers that are building applications. Okay, so our service would be a component that is blended into a solution that is either delivered internally to a company to enable internal processes or exposed via things like chatbots and things like that. But what really makes it unique is that like our ability to understand the structure better than anybody else, that is built on top of a AI ML engine that we call Sensei. Sensei is used across Adobe for lots of different things, but within our Document Cloud business unit, we use Sensei to do this structural understanding of the PDF. So that process of visually, analyzing the document and identifying all the objects, all of that work is being done by our Sensei pipeline. And this Sensei pipeline is, unique in that, obviously it was built by Adobe, and as the inventor of PDF, Adobe probably understands PDF content better than anybody else. We've also invested more money in understanding the structure of PDF documents over many years than any other company out there. And finally, we've trained this AI ML engine across billions and billions and billions of PDF documents. So we literally have over a decade of investment in this underlying technology that allows us to do this really high quality understanding of PDF document structure.
In other words, that's your main competitive moat, right? I mean, Adobe was essentially the initiator of the PDF standard. They know the structure, the content, the access levels better than anyone else. So this is
Absolutely.
very interesting. So a lot of great information here, Andy. I was wondering if you can kind of bottle the ends for us, give us a good recap of everything we've talked about in context to extract and otherwise.
Yeah. So first of all, it's important to understand that everything we've talked about really delivers value at the LLM usage level. Okay. And what I mean by that is this our PDF extract provides data sets to LLMs that allow the LLMs to deliver higher quality results at that level. And so there are standards like accuracy and precision and recall that people use to quantitatively measure the results that they get from their data sets. And we've been able to, using kind of like A/B testing methodology, to show that data sets built using extract deliver higher quality results in terms of those quantifiable metrics as compared to data sets built using other tools. And so, in summary, really what we're talking about here is that, first of all, like we said at the beginning, PDF documents in many cases are the best source of really high value content to train and optimize these LLMs. This Adobe PDF Extract API allows organizations to build the highest quality data sets that provide both content and structure so that the LLMs can deliver those higher quality results through structural understanding that enables more effective chunking, structural context to enable the LLMs to deliver better and faster results, and also understanding document structure for higher quality attribution. And again, all of this stuff is built on core technology like the Adobe Sensei engine, which has been invested in and trained by Adobe over many, many years.
It's fantastic. It's great to see all the advances here that's happening as especially with such an important artifact in our day-to-day lives, which are Adobe PDFs. I mean, this is something that to be able to see this go in lockstep with all the advancements around generative AI, LLMs, RAG, all this kind of stuff, and get great feedback results, and to see the innovation move ahead, it's just truly amazing. Well, Andy, I want to thank you once again for joining us today, and I want to thank CVision and Adobe for having me moderate once again, and have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.